Let's read the novel I wrote called The King's Daughters.
Long ago, in the kingdom of Everstone, there ruled a powerful king named Harold. He was respected throughout the land. His word was law, and people believed his kingdom would prosper for generations. Yet despite his power, the king had one obsession. He wanted a son. His first wife, Queen Eleanor, was known for her wisdom, kindness, and compassion. She loved her husband deeply and dreamed of building a happy family with him. When she gave birth to their first child, a beautiful daughter named Nora, she was filled with joy. The king was not. He forced a smile during the celebrations, but everyone could see his disappointment. "It's only the first child," the elders reassured him. "The next one will be a boy." But when Eleanor gave birth again, the child was another daughter, Tessa. The king's disappointment turned into anger. When the third child arrived, and was once again a girl, named Lily, the king refused even to hold the baby. The entire kingdom knew the truth. The king did not want daughters. He wanted an heir. As the years passed, his treatment of Eleanor and the girls became colder. He rarely spoke to his daughters. He never attended their school events. He never praised their achievements. Whenever people spoke about the future of the kingdom, he would say, "A throne cannot be inherited by a girl." Eventually, the king made a decision that broke Eleanor's heart. He married a second wife named Diana. The kingdom celebrated the wedding, knowing exactly why it was happening. The king wanted a son. A year later, Diana gave birth to a boy named Benedict. The king's joy knew no bounds. For 7 days and 7 nights, celebrations filled the kingdom. The prince was declared the future king. From that day forward, everything changed. Diana moved into the finest wing of the palace. Her rooms were decorated with gold and silk. New servants attended to her every need. The king spent most of his time with her and their son. Meanwhile, Queen Eleanor and her daughters were slowly pushed aside. Their servants were removed. Their allowances were reduced. Their palace wing fell into disrepair. Sometimes the king would host lavish feasts for Diana and the prince, while Eleanor and her daughters ate alone. The humiliation was intentional. The king wanted everyone to know who mattered. Empowered by her new status, Diana began making life difficult for Eleanor and her daughters. She mocked them. She assigned unnecessary chores. She constantly reminded them that they were only girls. The villagers joined in. Girls in the kingdom were rarely valued. Many were married off before adulthood. Education for daughters was considered a waste. Whenever people looked at Eleanor, they pitied her. 3 daughters and no son, they whispered. But Eleanor never gave up. Every evening, she gathered her daughters around a small lantern. "Your future will not be decided by anyone else," she told them. "Education is your inheritance." Those words became the foundation of their lives. Unknown to everyone, Diana carried a painful secret. After giving birth to Prince Benedict, she later gave birth to a daughter. The moment she learned the baby's gender, fear consumed her. She had watched how the king treated Eleanor. She had seen his rejection of daughters. She feared losing her position. She feared losing his love. The baby girl was secretly sent away to distant relatives. The king was told that the child had died shortly after birth. Years later, Diana gave birth to another son. The king celebrated once again, believing his legacy was secure. But Diana's secret haunted her every day. Meanwhile, the king invested everything in his sons. He hired tutors. He bought horses. He built special training grounds. He repeatedly declared that Prince Benedict would one day become a great ruler. Yet while the king focused on his sons, Queen Eleanor focused on her daughters. Nora dreamed of becoming a lawyer. Tessa dreamed of owning businesses. Lily dreamed of becoming a doctor. The journey was difficult. There were days without enough food, days when they lacked school supplies, days when villagers mocked them for dreaming too big. But they persevered. Nora earned scholarships and studied law. Years later, she became one of the most respected lawyers in the country, defending women and children who had been denied justice. Tessa started a small business with almost nothing. Through determination and hard work, she built a successful company that employed hundreds of people across the kingdom. Lily attended medical school and eventually became a renowned doctor and surgeon, saving countless lives. Their success spread throughout the kingdom. People who once laughed at them now spoke their names with pride. Meanwhile, Prince Benedict grew up believing that greatness was guaranteed. Simply because he was the king's son, he neglected his studies. He wasted money. He expected respect without earning it. His younger brother followed the same path. Then, disaster struck. A severe drought devastated the kingdom. Businesses collapsed. Families struggled. The royal treasury began to empty. For the first time in his life, King Harold found himself unable to solve the kingdom's problems. His sons offered no solutions, but his daughters did. Nora helped families protect their land through legal reforms. Tessa invested her wealth into farming projects and job creation. Lily organized medical programs and emergency relief efforts. Together, the three women transformed the kingdom. The people no longer spoke about the king's sons. They spoke about the king's daughters. Years later, an aging King Harold sat alone in his palace. His crown felt heavier than ever. For decades, he had searched for greatness in the wrong place. He summoned Eleanor, Nora, Tessa, and Lily. When they arrived, he struggled to speak. Finally, tears filled his eyes. "I spent my entire life searching for a son to carry my legacy." He looked at each daughter. "I was blind." Silence filled the room. "I rejected you. I ignored you. I hurt you." His voice trembled. "And yet, you became everything I hoped my heirs would be." For the first time in his life, the king bowed his head before his daughters. Nearby, Diana stood quietly. Overcome by guilt, she confessed her secret. She told them about the daughter she had hidden years ago. The daughter the kingdom believed had died. The room fell silent. Months later, the young woman was found and brought home. She was intelligent, educated, and strong. Instead of anger, she found acceptance. The daughters welcomed her as their sister. For the first time, 5 sisters stood together. Nora, the lawyer; Tessa, the businesswoman; Lily, the doctor; and the lost daughter, who became a respected educator, helping girls across the kingdom receive the education they deserved. The king watched them and finally understood what he had failed to see all along. Greatness had never been missing from his family. It had been standing before him the entire time. After the king's death, the kingdom changed its laws. No longer would leadership be determined by gender. No longer would girls be married off simply because they were daughters. Education became a right for every child, and future generations grew up hearing the story of Queen Eleanor, a woman rejected by her husband, a mother who raised 3 daughters alone despite living in a palace, a queen who refused to let society decide her children's worth. And because of her courage, an entire kingdom changed. For generations afterward, whenever a daughter was born, people no longer lowered their heads in disappointment. They celebrated, because they had learned a lesson that changed history. A child's value is not determined by whether they are born a boy or a girl. It is determined by what they choose to become.